Hi there YouTubers, and welcome to another service video from Sort 6233. And on the bench you can see this is a Bachmann F7 in Union Pacific colours, number 514, supposedly a non-runner, and as usual with me, from eBay. Quick visual inspection. First thing you can see is the missing bogie frame on one side. There's also a coupler missing from the front, and one of the horns on the roof is broken. So does it work? Will it work? Let's have a wee look and see. Simple test to begin with. On a piece of track, applying some power. I thought I heard something there. Yep, there is a kind of tendency to move. Oops. Oh yeah, okay. Reversing the power. So there is a tendency to move, very sluggish. So maybe it just needs a little bit of TLC. Bit of clicking there, so that be split gears, Bachmann, two things tend to go together. Let me just try that again. Yeah, it's certainly going, but let's see if we can get it going better. Simple matter to take these apart, prise open the sides, and the chassis should literally drop out. There's the body shell, the inner cab glass. Put that to one side. And I'm just having a look at this. Obviously it works, but maybe just needs a little bit of lubrication. So I'll take the motor out, check all the gearing to drive shafts. I'll check the gears as well, because Bachmann tend to have split gear problems. I split the chassis, taking the bogies out with the drive shafts, and looking in here, this is kind of dried up looking factory grease, so I can clean that up, re-grease, a bit of lubrication. The bulb there is okay, and maybe some strands of hair on the motor. So I'll just give that a good clean, lubricated. I think the motor's okay, and we'll try and put it all back together again. I've removed the motor, but having learned my lesson from many mistakes, I've marked on the motor the arrow pointing to the North Pole, and on the chassis an arrow pointing to where it matches. So I'll know I'll put that motor back in the way it came out. The next bit won't be so exciting. I'm simply going to take some IPA, a cotton bud, and apply this to all the chassis, get it cleaned up, and then I'll lubricate the bogies, check them all out, and then start to reassemble. So I'll be back shortly. And there we go, two cleaned chassis pieces. As I was checking the parts over, I've noticed that one of the insulating pillars that holds the chassis together had broken. So fortunately I've found a spare, so I can replace that. So that's the first thing that's going to get replaced. Now it's time to examine, clean and service the bogies and get them back up to standard. You may remember one of the bogie frames is missing. Well, I've got a spare, so that's the second thing that's going to get replaced. And also I have a missing coupler on this bogie, but again I have a clip, a bogie and a spring to fit in there. So that's the third set of things that we're going to replace so far. So to dismantle one of the bogies, First of all, the side bogie frames are clip-in. Just gently prise them away from the bogie frame itself. You can see the locating hole, and there's the locating lug. Same on the other side. Gently prise them off. They're there. And just be careful about these contact plates when the wheels come out. To remove the wheels, you have to separate the wheels by prising them from the axles, because they go through the chassis frame and through the gear. So take the wheels off from each side gently, and the wheels have a semi-axle which fits into the idler gear. And as you take the second one off from the same side, that frees the pickup plate, which in this case is grimy or grubby, or as we say in this part of the world, manky. I think you get the idea by now. Same on this side. So they'll need a good clean. The chassis looks pretty grimy too, and I'm just going to remove the worm drive screw. Oops, just clips in so. Oops, he says. I'm always trying to be careful, so it looks as if I'm having a bit of a struggle. It's just I'm trying to balance efficiency and not damaging it. There we go. And inside we have the two idler wheels, which can be removed here and here. And the larger idler wheel is held on a spindle. If I don't find anything wrong with it, I'm just going to leave that in situ and try and clean it up as best I can. So I'll do the same to the other bogie as well. Get all the parts cleaned in an IPA bath or similar, and rub down the contact plates and then build them back up again. Meanwhile, checking over the motor, applying just a little bit of power, hardly any power at all, it's running smoothly. And now I'm just going to try it in reverse, and no problem there at all. So I'll just apply a little bit of lubrication to the bearings, and that should be ready to go. So I think we're ready to rebuild the bogie, and I'm going to build the one which had the missing coupler, so that you can see how that fits in. So if I got everything, oops, ready away. There's the housing, two bogie frames, two idler gears, four wheels, coupler, and two pickup plates. Yep, okay, let's get started. As I go through the build, I'm going to use two forms of lubrication. One is petroleum jelly, that we might know by its trade name of Vaseline, and this is a light sewing machine oil, which I think is good enough for sewing machines. It'll be good enough for N-gauge locomotives. Right, so I'm just zoom in a little. Oops. The main idler gear is quite free to move, so starting with the two side idler gears. Come on, in you go, and like so. Everything working. A little bit of the jelly on the gear wheels, and that will work its way in as it operates. Wheels. There's no insulation bushes, there's no left or right, so there's four wheels, four holes, a apply one to each. I can work out the back to back at a later point. At the moment, putting them in. As I said, half axles fit into the gears. Right, now I fit the contact plates, that's these things here. They slide, behind the wheels and sit underneath this lip. So once I get that lined up behind the wheel, you might think, why don't you put it on first? Well, as far as I can see, there is no sort of retaining clips. It just sits there. So there we go, on this side. And oops. As I said earlier, trying to compromise between efficiency and carefulness, and that sometimes makes it look as if it's difficult. It's just I'm taking my time. And there's the second one, and these arches are the contacts which match onto the two halves of the metal chassis. So this should actually rotate fairly easily, and it does. And I did that before I put on this gear, because then I'd have to turn the worm gear to get the bogie operating. This can be a bit tricky because there's a little pip you have to fit into the hole. There we go. Then that sits in there. And again, just a little bit of grease and some lubrication there and there. And operating the one screw from above, you can see that it operates pretty well. Now I have to fit the coupler housing. The coupler housing fits underneath. Spring. Sits into the housing that way. The coupler will push it back. Whoops! To retake, folks, that's just spring fell out there, or sprung out. I think the glue is in the name. So we'll try again. Spring into the coupler housing. Coupler push back and sits in there. Now it will fit underneath, and this is the tricky bit. Okay, I'll have another go. Just undo the spring. Push back with the coupler. Okay, it's going to be reluctant while it's on video. One more time, then I'll do it off camera if I need to. In there. Just check its position. Good. Okay, I'll do it off camera. Then, would you believe, the first time we tried it off camera, in it went, nice as you like without any problem. A camera shy coupler housing, that's a good one, eh? Right, so that's both bogies dismantled, cleaned, assembled, and new couplers fitted, and one thing I have to do now is fit the bogie frames. Just before I do so, a close look at these will show that this coupler is slightly longer than this one. That's because this one goes to the front and it has to fit through the cow catcher, which means it needs an extra bit of length to clear this. Final stage in this rebuild is fitting the bogie side frames. The replacement I have has come off a locomotive that had been weathered, so although I've cleaned it up, it's still got tints of kind of rust coloured paint on it. That'll do until I get a proper one, or even it's my locomotive, so nobody's going to bother. The side frames simply clip into place. You can just see the lug there fits into this rectangular recess, and there's nothing else to it, just sits down there and it's automatically spaced. There's no sense of left or right or front or rear in these. There is a top and a bottom. You do have to be careful that the axle housings are in the lower part of the frame and the body frame part is at the top. Other than that, they can go in either side, either way. So similarly here, push on, clip in, right way up, push on, clip in, and there we have it. Our bogies ready to fit on to our F7. Maybe some people might say it shouldn't be called them trucks because it's American. I would never get used to that. To me, they are bogies. Chassis rebuilt. You may remember I marked the motor. There's the arrow pointing towards this part here. So just fit it in here. Notice I've got the cellophane insulating clip round there, and the poles of the motor actually fit onto little lugs which are in the housing. I'm going to feed through the insulating pillar underneath on each side. And trying to do it from above when I should be doing it from below. Just fits in there. And then these two washers fit over the visible parts. And now the other assembly should sit on top. So now I can fit the bogies. The shorter coupling goes to the rear, and I need the drive arm fitted in there. And similarly at this side. Okay, during assembly I have to be careful that the arch springs, the copper springs, sit beneath the chassis here. If you're not careful, what happens is they end up inside the guide here. So very carefully sit them on. This side is easy enough. I can maneuver the copper arch in there. And then I'll just check on the other side that one's okay. This one has slipped inside. That one's okay. And and this is one of the things about these Bachmann split chassis, is they can be very footery. So simple, what you do is you start again. So let me do that off camera. I've rebuilt the F7 and it's running quite happily on the track, except, is it just me, or do I still hear that click? Yeah, I think it might be a click there. Right, that's going in one direction, and now in the opposite direction. Yep. But this is going, it's going quite well. And it's complete. Couplers, bogie frames. One thing I have to put out is the lamp and the bobby shell. So I'm going to do all that, get it on the track and let it run around a few times with a collection of US freight. See you soon. And you know what? Just listening to that click before I do what I said I would do, I think I'm going to change those idler wheels. It's Bachmann, not with split gears, that causes clicking. It's a no-brainer really. If you want no trouble in the future, I'm just going to change those gear wheels. Oh yes, that's much better. And sure enough, when I examined the gear wheels under a magnifying glass, I found this one was split. You just about see that there at the top of the gear wheel. Yep. So, all I have to do now is get it reassembled and get it tested, and we'll see it running very shortly. At this point I'm going to try and bring the F7 out of this service line. Yes, there it comes. And it should come through the points onto the down line. So quick change of points there and there. And it will come round soon. Yep, here it comes. I don't want to trace it around because my hand, I'm not very good with the handheld, but there, pick it up there. And that looks pretty good. Behind my shuttle layout. Coming down here. And this time I will pass the siding and bring it to a stop. Quick change of points again. Change the direction. And I'm also going to try and pick up a rake of wagons or freight. So I'm going to try and bring it in. Okay. So it's moving under its own power without any assistance. In there, change controller. I've got to take a point, so hang on. Just get this sorted. Oh, pick on there. So a little change of direction. A wee bit of power. And she should be taken off. Get touch point here to cause trouble. To override it. And there she goes. Should cross over to the other track. change of points, pick it up behind the shuttle and coming down this side here, and she's stalled. Oh, coming down here. Can she see? Pretty good. Don't see much wrong with that. Okay, rounding off this fairly simple repair, aggravated by some of my own mistakes. Basically a good old overhaul with this being the main culprit, split gear. That'll go safely out of the way. Replacement front coupler, replacement side bogie frame on one of these bogies. I've left the horn for some other time. I can now use this and run it if and when I wish to. Right, thanks for watching folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe learned something about these Bachmann split chassis. They're not the easiest to reassemble, you have to be very careful with them. And if you build one up, then you find you've got to take it to bits again, then put it all back up together again. You'll soon find out what I mean. Hopefully, if you like that, you'll give me a thumbs up. Pass a comment, favourably hopefully. And subscribe if you want more N-gauge servicing. Okay, so let's finish this off. Thank you for watching. Take good care of yourself. And remember, consort 6233. It's bye for now.